I was talking about how, it does include magic, but I don't think that it falls underneath a different world. Like, it is a different reality, but he's not changing his world around him.
It's just him that changes.
Yeah, and I kind of put him as also being the hero, just because he had to survive in a different environment and kind of go through, like, being teased for looking old and being in a classroom. But I really like this one because even though there was like magic involved, it was still pretty relatable.
Yeah.
Like even when he got teased, like, that's really relatable. But it's not relatable when you're old, when you're supposed to be young.
Yeah, it's like you only think of being bullied and teased when you're a kid. You don't really think about it when you're older. It's a good point.
And then I had to talk about Angel City. If you guys listened to that book, it was a pretty good book.
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
I liked it a lot.
I thought that it had a lot of heroism in it, just because Pop took in a little boy who obviously didn't have any home, and it was really like inspiring that he really wanted to teach his son Juan about his culture. Like, he wanted to make enchiladas, he wanted to show him the art of his world and of his culture, and it was just like really interesting. And even though like his social economic status was quite low, he still saved money, or he recycled to get a box of crayons for his son that his son was just going to break in a minute. But he was just like, I want to give my son like the same education. And I don't know, I liked Angel City. It was interesting.
Was it Angel City or City of...
I thought it was Angel City.
Okay. I don't remember.
But I don't know, that book was just really interesting.
Sounds interesting.
To see someone struggle with like money, and then they also struggled with the loss of a friend in that book. The little boy lost his friend to like shootings or something, I believe. And I don't know, the way Pop like handled it, it was just like, how would you tell your son that that's how it is? Or
Yeah.
I don't know, it was written very well. Like, nothing was offensive. There's no like stereotypical things that were happening. It was just awesome.
The only thing I noticed is the characters that were in the lower, like, poverty class, they were all of minorities.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I noticed.
Oh yeah, that's good to notice.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Pop was African American, and what was his name? Juan was Latino, I believe. But yeah.
I kind of like what you were bringing up about, like, the other world, about how that doesn't have to be, like, going through a wardrobe or something like that. That can just be a major change in your own life and going into a new, like, situation kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of, like, part of what makes fantasy and all kinds of fiction so relatable and enjoyable for kids, and well, not just kids, adults too. I mean, I'm like, hello, I'm 22, but just like being able to relate to going into another world or a new situation and feeling like the hero in your own story, having to go through trials and stuff.
Yeah.
That's kind of.
I liked both those good books. And I liked having them read to me.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'll just sit here.
Lesson.
Story time.
I don't have to turn the pages myself.
Yeah. So it's
And you got reactions towards City of Beasts. Besides the fact that they didn't tell us.
I like that the plot was kind of just, well, in the beginning it was just like, okay, building up, and then it got more suspenseful when they were like climbing a mountain and everything.
Yeah.
But I found at the beginning it was kind of confusing.
Yeah.
There were too many characters almost.
I know.
Yeah.
I was having a hard time like remembering where everybody came from.
Yeah.
Like, I was having issues distinguishing between who was who was on the good side, the bad side.
Yeah.
But I feel like that can kind of be a good thing for teachers, is like you can teach your students, sometimes you have to stop, reread, or think about things for a minute. And
I think that also kind of helps with like analyzing and understanding a character. Kind of going back to the idea of the redeeming the villains, like that you really had to think about who's on the good side, who's on the bad side kind of thing. It's like obviously there were the villains who were trying to take out the civilization, but the fact that you had to kind of like struggle with that a little bit was just kind of interesting.
I liked how you didn't really know it was the doctor until like the end.
Yeah, plot
I was
twist.
like, what? Jerk, you're supposed to be helping
like
people.
comes out of the tent with her,
Mhm.
behind her.
I really wanted something to happen with Nadia and Alexander just because, like, hopeless romantic. I just really wanted them.
And it
to
was
be
kind of
like,
there throughout
Yeah.
the book, like,
he was like, oh, I think I might be in love. Sammy's just my sister, but she doesn't act like my sister.
Ooh.
Okay.
One of my gut reactions was, like, I was like, oh, we're reading an Isabel Allende book this week. Because I so vividly remember her other book that I read in high school, The House of the Spirits. And so I kind of had that in mind while going into this book.
Was the writing pretty similar?
It was, yeah. Like, the kind of where it's set in a reality, but then it's, like, there's kind of, like, mystical twists to it. Like, for example, in House of the Spirits, there's a part where, in the beginning, there's this girl in the family, and she's, like, beautiful and everything, and she's known because she has naturally green hair. And they're always, like, relating her to a mermaid. And so there's kind of, like, you don't know if there is something kind of mystical about her. And then there's another girl in the book named, I think her name was Clara. Yeah, it's Clara. She's, like, one of the main characters, duh. And she's a psychic. And so it's just kind of like, I went in and go to this book like, oh, it's about India. I'm going to be expecting some kind of realistic settings, but then some kind of crazy little twist that we don't really understand. So, and I wasn't surprised to find out there was some. Because there's parts I was confused, like, wait a minute, Jaguar Eagle, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, wait, so did he actually become that? I'm confused, because it could be real, it could be in his mind. And so, I was just like, yep, there's Isabel again.
Yeah. I don't know about that, just because, like, I'm not really, like, I haven't experienced something like that, nor in a book, nor in, like, person.
Yeah.
But,
Kind of rite of passage kind of thing, and the, like,
yeah,
ritualistic stuff.
I can understand, like, having just, like, great confidence to get through something, but
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I like how they have to conquer their fears, though. That's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I must say for myself.
Great. So, any mirrors this week?
Oh yes, mirrors.
Oh, yes.
Mirrors. I related to Alex's newfound independence, where he's like, we got to watch him kind of grow up, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, even if it was trying different foods, you know, he had a hard time with that. He was still becoming more independent, and he was taking care of himself. But I kind of related that to like moving to Bellingham.
Oh, yeah.
As cheesy as that sounds,
No.
like, when I was home, I was like being taken care of. Like, I didn't have to worry about what I was eating next. My parents brought me groceries. Like, I had it really well, and I didn't really realize it until I came here, and I was like, oh, I have to make my own food.
Mm-hmm.
And like that transition was really hard for me, just because like I was used to like my mom calling and making appointments for me, or like just taking care of things that like I should have been taking care of. So I felt like I was able to relate to that transition with Alex, and with me being able to kind of, not necessarily me survive on my own, but like he obviously survived on his own. But like
Yeah.
just having that like strength and like learning how to do things for yourself. It's kind of more about like
Becoming more
independence. Yeah. So that's what I thought. What did you guys think?
I did kind of relating to Alexander and Nadia's curiosity.
Ooh.
Like, they're both, like, Alexander is very curious about this world that he finds himself in, and how, like, the native people live and what they value. And Nadia is kind of curious about Alexander and
I
where he
like her.
comes from. And there's, like, that natural curiosity that most kids have at some point. Like, and I feel like I can relate to that, because like throughout my life I've always been a very curious person about like the world and everything that's around me, and like how my curiosity has kind of made me that lifelong learner.
Oh, very cool.
And like, I don't know, like that's kind of one of the reasons I went into the LSE major, is because I've always liked learning about like other cultures and languages, and just, yeah.
Very cool.
So that's mine. Just relating to curiosity.
Oh, I like that. I kind of had like a mix of my mirrors between City of the Beasts and the fantasy chapter. So one part that I related to was Alex moving to his new world, or moving to New York and not being happy about it at all.
I completely forgot about that part of the book.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because like I've moved so many times
That's right.
before. Like I think this school is like my 13th school that I've been to, like
Nice.
throughout everything, and it just made me think of like this time I was actually moving from Bellingham to Texas, and like because we were moving there to be closer to my family, and so I was not happy because I just started high school here, and
Of course.
yeah, it was like 2 months into high school, and like I had my best friends, I had a boyfriend, and like and then it was even worse with my brother because he had a girlfriend and all his friends here, and then my mom just kind of like, I found out later like why, and that she had very good reasons to do this because it was like a weird family thing going on right then, but like we just had to kind of up and leave and go to Texas, and I was just not happy, and I didn't like where I went. Of course I got used to it. I didn't come across any people in the mist or whatever, but you know, like but yeah, so like I just related to him in that. I was like, buddy, I hear you. I mean, like just moving to a new place and not being excited about it at all. But then also relating back to the hero in the story, like Alex was definitely the hero going into this whole new world and everything, and so it kind of got me thinking about why I enjoy fantasy and how we're able to relate to it so much, and just like how we all kind of feel like we're going in on our own little adventures and quests and everything, and facing down our dragons and having our team to travel with, you know. So I was just reading through the chapter, like, wow, I can see why kids pick fantasy books, because they can really, first of all, they're kind of like, they can get kind of bored with their ordinary lives, and so then going into a fantasy book and then being able to see themselves in it really makes things more exciting. But yeah, so I was just kind of relating to like how I felt while reading fantasy books, how I still feel reading fantasy books, like how we're all able to put ourselves so much into it, like how we all pick our Hogwarts houses and everything,
Yeah.
and how we all like
That's true.
say like, oh, I'd totally be a